Do you believe in get rich quick advertisements? Do you consider yourself wealthy? Have you wished you had more money in your bank account? Well, then, the summary of How to Get Rich, one of the world's greatest entrepreneurs shares his secrets by Felix Dennis, will help you learn the steps in being and staying rich. In this book, you will learn that failure is a part of the process. You will learn that having a great idea is not enough to become successful. You will learn about the errors you can avoid as you start your own business. This book will help you realize that anyone can become rich, but not everyone is willing to put in the work. Harnessing the Fear of Failure. Felix, the author, knows everyone will doubt his book. You might be skeptical as you listen to it now. But Felix assures that the content is related to the book's title. He might not be able to make you happy. He might not be able to make you healthy either. But as a rich entrepreneur, Felix will make you wealthy. You must remember that there is no shortcut to being rich. Getting rich quickly is a scam. So you must have the patience and perseverance to succeed. That is what Felix did and what you will do as well. If there is any constant variable in Felix's path towards wealth, it was failure. Failure sounds like such a bad word, doesn't it? If it could take up a form, it would be a big gorilla. Failure is intimidating and scary. How can you possibly win against a giant gorilla? Felix offers this wise piece of advice. Once you begin, you are already halfway to being rich. What truly matters is that you take that first step. Yes, failure might be following you closely. It might even be right behind you. But you will never get rich if you do not try at all. People will criticize you. They will scare you into not trying at all. Felix met hundreds of these people back then. They convinced him to stop pursuing a business venture. Felix was aware that some of them meant well, that they were just trying to be cautious. Your loved ones and colleagues will always look out for you. But the fear of failing should not hold you back. Knowing you can succeed can haunt you. It is not enough to know. You have to actually do things to help yourself succeed. It is scary to fail. Felix acknowledges this. People will smugly say, "I told you so." But know that regret is a more awful feeling. What if you had pursued that business venture? What if it had paved the way to success? On the other hand, there is also a big chance that you will fail. So what do? Yes, you might feel down. Yes, people will be disappointed. But it is not the end of the world. At least you can say, "I tried and it did not work. Now on to another great adventure." Whether you're failing or succeeding, people will always have comments. Learn to build a wall that shields you from criticism. However, this wall should not be so thick that you do not listen to your friends and family. The first step, in summary, is to take a step. Be prepared to fail multiple times. Be prepared to stand back up. Do not take harsh judgments personally. Only listen to the people who matter to you. The fallacy of the great idea. Being unique can get you very far. People always say this. If you want to be rich, you have to do something no one has ever done before. But Felix strongly disagrees with this belief. There are many great ideas born every day, but not every great idea is worth pursuing. What you should concentrate on is not greatness. What matters is how you implement your idea. Good ideas are similar to running shoes. Good shoes will push an athlete to do better. They can run or exercise for a longer time. But good shoes on their own are nothing. If you want to win a gold medal, shoes alone cannot guarantee a victory. It is entirely up to you, the athlete. Felix says that a single great idea will never be enough to make you rich. Take, for example, Ray Kroc. He was the businessman behind McDonald's. Ray certainly did not invent the concept of fast food. Neither was he the first one in the business. His idea was not great or unique. And yet, Ray was able to make McDonald's the famous empire that it is today. It was all because of how Ray implemented his plan for McDonald's. He standardized the menu and its prices. Ray also set up franchises all over the country. He made sure health protocols were followed in the kitchen. Lastly, he marketed McDonald's as a fast food chain that gives you your money's worth. Sounds easy, right? But the implementation was a lot more difficult and complicated. However, it was all worth it. McDonald's continues to be a crowd favorite, and it will continue to be one in the future. Do not just focus on making the idea a great one. Focus on making sure the execution is flawless and unique. This is a common mistake among startup companies. Being unique consumes a lot of their time. They do not pay attention to what comes next after formulating the idea. Inevitably, the startup company fails to thrive. 5 most common startup errors. The first error is making desire for compulsion. If you like to be rich, then you already have failed. Desires and wishes will be your downfall. These are feelings that are only temporary. If you want to be rich, you need to have a strong foundation. You need to have the compulsion to see your wish through. Passion and commitment are what you need. You must be dedicated to being rich. There is no room for hesitation. Either you succeed or you do not. The second error is over-optimism with regards to cash flow. You might think, oh, I have an accountant for these things, but Felix will tell you that it will ruin you. Cash is an important matter when it comes to startups. It sounds obvious, does it not? But often you get ahead of yourself. You pay too much attention to your great idea, or you rely too heavily on your finance department. There is no harm in asking for help. Felix is simply encouraging you to learn more about your own finances. If your cash flow is doing great, then that's good. But if cash flow is bad, you might get shut down. So watch your money closely. Keep monitoring where cash comes in and where it goes out. Felix promises it is not as complex as it sounds. The third error is reinforcing failure. It is easier to think about getting back up after failing. But when your failure is still fresh, it is hard to try again. Your negative thoughts can weigh you down. But how exactly do you stop making mistakes? Well, you simply can't. What you can do is learn from them. The worst thing you can do is to repeat the failure again and again. There is no shame in giving up. Felix lost billions of dollars because of his stubbornness. He continued investing in a failing product. Felix kept reinforcing his failure. The fourth error is thinking small and acting big. Do not let success get to your head. You still have a long way to go. What you should do is the opposite of the fourth error. Act small, but think big. Acting small can be done in many ways. Set a good example for your employees. Do not violate official lunch hours just because you can. Do not spend unnecessarily just because you have extra money. Stay flexible. Listen and learn from your employees. In other words, stay modest. Yes, your ideas will most likely change the world. Your big thinking is praised by many. But always stay humble no matter what. The fifth and final error is skimping on talent. Keep an eye out for talented individuals. When you do find them, hold on to them. It is not just their salary that makes them want to stick around. Talented individuals want independence. Make them in charge of several projects. Show to them that you trust them. Talented individuals will stay in companies that value them. Cardinal virtues. For you to get rich, you have to develop several virtues. The first virtue is persistence. Many self-help books use this word. You should never give up on your goal. Felix admits that being persistent is an honorable trait. It pushes you to get through the hard times. But persistence is also knowing when to give up. Persistence is trying again. It is having faith in yourself despite your failures. For instance, you were assigned to do a school project. You're working hard on it. But along the way, you realized it was all wrong. It does not capture what you intended to capture. Being persistent is making changes. It is altering your path, even though it might take longer. It is not being able to bear a mediocre output. The second virtue is self-belief. Your unyielding trust in yourself will open up many opportunities for you. Felix urges you to develop your self-belief. You cannot accomplish anything without it. If you do not believe in yourself, then who will? There is no one else like you. No one will have your exact traits, flaws, and qualities. You are even the fastest sperm. In the history of civilization, no one can be the same as you. Maybe it is because of nature. Maybe it's because of destiny. Maybe it's because of a god. Call it what you will. But you were born for a reason. How could you not believe in yourself? If you want to be rich, you have to believe it as well. The third virtue is to trust your instincts. Felix often went against his financial advisors. He would argue with his business partners as well. They would tell him not to invest in a particular company. But Felix would go ahead and do just that. Often, Felix was right. The company would thrive exceptionally well. It sounds irresponsible not to listen, but Felix reasons that he's not a manager, nor is he a businessman. Felix is an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs go with their gut. Felix was not born with this gut feeling. He acquired it through years of experience. Trust your own judgment when it comes to being rich. It can be terrifying at first. What proof do you have that a particular endeavor will make you rich? But it is only through experience that your gut feeling will flourish. The fourth virtue is to diversify. No matter how prepared you are, things won't always go your way. Most of the time, it is not your fault. It just happens. And you have no choice but to accept it as it is. This is what you should remember when you first start your company. Do not get discouraged. However, do not just settle for one company. Learn to expand your business ventures. Have several backups in different industries. The more well-rounded you are, the more money you can have. The fifth virtue is to listen and learn. Felix is a busy man. He has 3 personal assistants at his office every day. Sometimes his assistants have assistants. Felix did not point this out to brag. He wants to emphasize how important having a schedule is. If he has a schedule, he will get to listen to more people. Listening is learning for Felix. He talks with his executives, he talks with his employees. But Felix makes sure that he sets a time limit to these conversations. Every day he learns something new. It brings happiness to his life. Especially, it brings ideas. A business partner could talk about a potential product, and Felix's mind would start to fire away. He will continue to think about how to improve this product. Felix might even look it up online. Because of the conversation, he managed to get 2 things out of it: knowledge and a potential new product. The power of focus. Do you remember the feeling of getting a high score, of opening up your new business, or getting the girl of your dreams? It feels good to succeed, but success can unfortunately blind you. It can lead you to lose focus. Always keep in mind that you are trying to get rich. It is as straightforward as it sounds, but life distracts you with a million other things. This is what happened to Felix. He first started out by selling a magazine. All day he would come up with different ways to make it sell. Felix would ask his girlfriends to help him. Nobody could resist the women's charms. By the end of the night, Felix would have a pocket full of cash. Eventually, Felix became a magazine publisher. It was a good path, but he was slowly starting to lose focus. His goal was to become rich after all. Instead, he went on to become the best magazine publisher. Don't get him wrong, Felix was making good money, but being the best distracted him from other profitable business ventures. An entrepreneurial mind never rests. Felix could have made more money outside the publishing industry. He could have pursued and invested in lots of companies as well. But he fell in love with his magazine. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but again, Felix's goal was becoming rich. If you want to be rich, you have to go where the money is. The power of focus can also be strengthened by the right environment. It is impossible for you to get rich alone, so you have to create an environment that supports your goal. Find colleagues and professionals that can give you wise advice. Get to know people who are good in your particular industry. Learn from them and talk to them. Human capital is a crucial factor on your journey to becoming rich. Thus, you must choose each person wisely. From your employees to your partners, down to your suppliers. No, you're not being picky. Each person will help you get rich. Felix offers the following advice when it comes to choosing human capital. First, do not make the employment decisions alone. You might overlook some aspects that might cause problems to your company. Make sure to conduct interviews with a colleague. Second, take notes, but only speak when needed. Remember that you are trying to figure out if that person is a good fit. Also see if he has the potential to make you rich. Third, do not be swayed by your biases. You have preferences of what makes a good employee, but do not let your judgment be colored by your likes and dislikes. Analyze if the candidate possesses good traits. Loyalty, honesty, and integrity are some examples. What matters if they can help make money for you? How to stay rich. Felix has now given you tips on how to get rich. But what now? You need to stay rich, of course. Felix committed a lot of mistakes. He spent his fortune because he could. Looking back, he deeply regrets it. The money he wasted could have been invested. Felix spent it on drugs, alcohol, and sports cars. Felix could have used the money to build another company or business. Fortunately, he eventually did this, but not without a huge deduction in his wealth. Felix stayed rich because his entrepreneurial mind never stopped. Felix invested and bought companies or products. He also made sure that he had a trusted advisor by his side. Not looking back on the money you spent is another one of Felix's advice. Once it goes out of your bank, do not dwell on it. Whether you use it as a gift, investment, or loan, it does not matter. There is no use mourning over money that is not yours anymore. Instead, just think of ways to double the money you now have. You are also saving yourself from misery if you loan to friends and family. There is no use waiting for them to pay you back. Felix learned this the hard way. If they ask for a loan, treat it as if you just gave them the money. Having this kind of mentality will stop you from feeling bitter towards them. Do not let your wealth get to your head. Being rich does not mean you get to abuse someone. Just because you're paying them does not mean you can disrespect them. Remember that you did not become wealthy all on your own. You had help. You will always need people. Never stop growing in every aspect. Attend seminars and conferences. Have lunch with your business partners and trade tips. Keep searching for talented people to work for you. Learn from them as well. Remember that you're only rich, not smart. These two things are not the same. Just because you have money does not make you irreplaceable. However, you can be an inspiration. The more knowledge you have, the more valuable you become. Be the best at making money. But all throughout, still stay modest. This is how rich people stay rich. Conclusion. You learned that being rich starts with working on your inner self. You have to change your mindset, actions, and virtues. You learned that in order to succeed, you must fail. Making mistakes is horrifying. It lowers your self-confidence. It scares you. But you have to take the initiative to try. You will not be rich if you are afraid to fail. Many wealthy figures have experienced many failures, but they also have thousands of victories. You learned that a great idea will not make you rich. You could spend years coming up with a unique business or product. But if you cannot execute it properly, it will fail. The idea is important, but you should also pay attention to how you implement it. You learned that you need to adapt new virtues to be rich. You need to be persistent in your goal. However, you should also know when to give up. Self-belief is also needed in this journey. You are responsible for making yourself rich. Trust yourself. Be open to learning. Never stop trying to acquire information. This will help you become a better person. You learn to never lose focus on your goal. No matter how good life gets, never stop making money. Go where the cash is. Many try and fail to be rich. If it were easy, everyone would be billionaires. But it is the dedicated ones who succeed. Great things take time. All your hardships will be worth it. All those bad days will earn you the best life you can have. So, my dear listeners, do you now know a little bit more about how to get rich? Well, now it's up to you to apply the lessons from this summary. Let us know in the comments below what you felt. This is Mohita signing off for now. Jai Hind.